10 rings. Right now, I'm just gonna see if things are set up before I proceed and checking in, make sure I haven't been streaming in a while. So it's kind of fun to be back. But yeah, I saw the movie last night during the premiere, the world premiere, and it was a lot of fun. The premiere, the cast was there. Simu Liu was there, Aquafina, Benedict Wong, and a very surprised guest made an appearance with Sir Ben Kingsley. So I was like, huh, very surprised. Ben Kingsley's here. So with Ben Kingsley, I was like, he's got to be. He's got to be in the movie, especially after the events of Iron Man 3. And Iron Man 3, like, it's kind of like a love and hate relationship with the story, especially with how they portray the Mandarin. But with Shang-Chi, we finally have the Mandarin in all his glory. And it's like a different version because this version of the Mandarin, it's Wenwu. And Wenwu is played by Tony Leung. And I'll just say this Tony Leung, he's so good. He's so good as Wenwu. Like, you actually, I know I've kind of felt sympathetic for him. And we get to really explore his story, his arc. And I'm gonna like check in to see. Let's see here. We got some comments. What's up, Knight? How's it going, Jonathan? Yes. Oh, we're gonna list names of stuff I liked of the different movies. Yeah, I did like Space Jam. I know like a lot of people hated Space Jam, but it's like it's a movie with LeBron James. What do you expect? You can't expect much with like his acting performance. He's an NBA player in a movie with Looney Tunes characters. So different movies, you're gonna have to like set aside expectations. And so with Space Jams, yeah, I didn't have like huge expectations. Like, as long as I laughed, enjoyed the different Warner Brothers references, I'm okay. With Shang-Chi, we're talking about Shang-Chi here, and I'm just gonna say it right now. This is probably it's in my top 5 favorite MCU films. And if you're wondering, oh, what's your top 5 films? It's the other four are Captain America: Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, Avengers: Endgame. So pretty much any of the stuff that the Russo brothers have done, I have enjoyed because they really know how to just create the tension and the drama, but then also have some humor and just a crazy roller coaster ride. And so Shang-Chi is definitely up there because of I like the story. It's self-contained, probably the one of my favorite MCU solo films, and with the other ones, like this one, I just oh my god, it's like I don't even know how it's so awesome. I'm just still reeling in from the excitement from watching it. And a little background on my thoughts on Black Widow. I thought I got a lot of hate from my reaction to Black Widow. People were like, "Oh, you're just a hater and all that," but I did not. Like, there are some parts I enjoyed. I like Florence Pugh, as a sister, but I thought the action scenes were weak. There was like a lot of quick cuts, and it just kind of felt cartoony for me in her world of Black Widow because she's supposed to be like this she's even though she's a human, she's still a hero, but she falls down a lot, and it just felt like out there. And the cars are flipping, and she hops on out like nothing's happened, and her nose gets busted, and she fixes. I'm like, this is like a cartoon. uh, don't get me wrong. Like, Shang-Chi has a lot of crazy stuff happening to it, but I didn't feel like the things that were happening to him. I was like, come on, there's no way he could have survived that. And that's how I felt with Black Widow, and just the action moments and the family dynamic for Black Widow. I thought they could have dived deep more into that, and so it just felt hollow for me when Florence Pugh's character was like, "But it mattered to me." But Shang-Chi's family story, this is touching. This was what was missing from Black Widow, and I was all for it with the family stuff, especially with how Shang-Chi relates to the Mandarin and the sister, like you see her in the trailer. So to really dive deep into the different family dynamic, and I want to talk about the like Shang-Chi. He's the master of kung fu. He's a great martial artist. So when people watch this movie, they want to see if the action is top notch, and I think it's the best fight scenes ever in any of the MCU films, and also is probably up there in terms of Hollywood martial arts films because Hollywood has they're not really great at doing just martial arts action, and martial arts in films. Hollywood films have been more like an afterthought where let's just film the stuff. Let's just give these stunt people and actors maybe like a week to plan certain things. And that's why I've always been a fan of Hong Kong martial arts films because they plan these fight scenes, and that's why like there are a few Hollywood action films that I just enjoy because they actually know what they're doing, like John Wick with Chad, because he's a stunt guy and he's directing, so he understands that, but he's also good with the humor and the balancing of just the story and everything. And I also liked Jackie Chan in Shanghai Nights. Shanghai Nights, they had time to really plan their fight scene. So when you watch that movie, you're like, wow, for a Hollywood film, this fight scene is really, really awesome. And let's see here. Let's see, Knight is asking, is the Abomination fighting scene good? Don't get your hopes up with the Abomination fight scene. It's more of a moment just to showcase, like, hey, they're part of the MCU. It's fun. It's like a funny fight, but it's really short. So just set your expectations on that. And Abomination is more of just like an Easter egg. Like, hey, look, he's here. And that's it. Don't expect a lot out of that because this is strictly focused on Shang-Chi and just the struggles with his past and his family life and his adventures. So that's the main core of this film. And the fight scenes, like, because I don't know if you guys seen Snake Eyes, but Snake Eyes, I like some of the performances and where the characters are headed, but I think the actors, they did what they could with the script they were given. But I think the filmmakers for Snake Eyes didn't really understand how to make compelling fight scenes. And with Shang-Chi, like Destin and the team, the fight choreography team, I think it was Brad Allen, rest in peace. They really know how to like just sell the fights and capture it because you don't have these shaky cams anymore. You don't have these really quick cuts. So there are longer takes and the camera just flows, and it's like the cameraman's just capturing the moment. And there's a scene that reminded me of Old Boy. If you haven't seen Old Boy, check that out. It's like this one long take, sideways shot. Like it looks like a side-scrolling video game. And so there's a moment that in Shang-Chi, and also there are like other fight scenes where you really can see like how fast the punches are and the kicks. And like I said before, this is the best fight, like close quarters combat MCU film ever. Like ever. And just the way Shang-Chi moves around, like it just looks believable. Like when you see other stuff, when characters move around, like, this looks like kind of cartoony or CG, but here it feels like this Shang-Chi is quick, and it's like an actual person could pull this off. And with the what was it? It starts to elevate. You have the fight scenes, but then you start having the wushu style stuff, inspired by films like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Hero, and just a lot of Chinese films. And this movie really just, I think, captures the beauty of that. And there are moments where because it's like an art, and when they do these things, this is just a visual medium, and it was just so beautiful. It was gorgeous, especially the stuff that involves the Mandarin, aka Wenwu, and just his history. Because you've seen in the trailer where it looks like Wenwu has been living for a while, so we're gonna get to see a lot of stuff with that. And I don't want to say too much more of that so that you guys can be surprised by the things you see and all that. And let's talk about like Simu Aquafina. I think they're both great together. They're funny, they're fun, and I think they're like the most relatable MCU character, like as leads. Because Thor, he's a god of thunder, and you try to make stuff where you relate to him, like in the first film where Odin takes away his powers, and then you have Iron Man. He's a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. He can make just these crazy gadgets. And Captain America, he's from the past, and he gets super soldier serum, and he's always like trying to fight for the side of good, just being a good man. And so they have that larger than life persona. And with Shang-Chi, come on, he starts off in the film as a hotel valet and he's just trying to live his life, and that's how I can relate to going to karaoke and singing and just having fun. And so that's what I miss about like a lot of these stuff, where it's just a moment of just these characters just getting to be people, having fun, having hobbies. And this movie has that, and it catapults Shang-Chi into like this grand adventure, especially when his dad is like, "Hey, I've let you live your life. Now it's time to come back. Come back to me. Help me out here." And with Wenwu, great. Tony Leung, great. Let's see, what else have I not touched on? The martial arts, so good. And there are people that were like, "Oh, I see that somebody was comparing it to these martial arts scenes from The Raid." Like, you can't compare it to The Raid because The Raid is rated R, and the Raid has a lot of stuff where you're like, "Oh, snaps!" just because of the way that people are getting killed off in the film. But for Shang-Chi, for it being PG-13, I still think like it's still the best on what it can do in the MCU. And I'm gonna watch this movie again. Like, I'm so excited to watch this movie again, just to watch the fight scenes, watch the story. Simu Liu, he's like charismatic, and he is just fun to. He's a joy to watch. Just watching him going through these adventures. And Aquafina, like, she's the one that really represents being the normal person without any special abilities. She's good at driving. But other than that, she's kind of there to be like, "Hey, what the hell's happening?" Because Shang-Chi has been trained his whole life to fight, so he knows a certain thing or two about how crazy his world can get. And Jonathan is asking, when does this movie take place? Is it post blip? Yes, it is after the blip, and I hate that word blip, like just the snap. But the MCU calls it the blip. But yeah, people, there is a reference to like how things are crazy, and they mention like, oh, half the universe was gone and now it's back to normal. So that was mentioned in like a line. But I think like the focus of this movie is that it's still Shang-Chi's story, and it does explain certain things about the Ten Rings, the Legend of the Ten Rings, with events that happened in the first Iron Man film and the third, especially the third Iron Man film. The film touches on that a lot. And so if you weren't a fan of the fake Mandarin, and you want to see how that stuff was resolved, like, they have that here. They resolve that. And the rings, I want to talk about the rings. These are different from the comic book versions because the Mandarin in the comic books, he's got the rings. They fit on his fingers. They each have like different powers. This one is more like uniform, and it's more like he's just the Wenwu is controlling these rings. He wears it on his arms, and they're kind of like they just move around and they can shoot things. They can create a force field. So you can still do a lot of things with these rings. And I think they are cool. Like it's different, but it's still cool. Like I still would have wanted to see the other parts, the other powers of the rings, like in the comics. But I think for what we've gotten in this, it's still badass, and I'm not too concerned about like just the power of it. And it does. The rings do play an important part of Shang-Chi. And let's see. Yeah, like the thing that always like when I watched this movie, I was just super excited. I was just cheering throughout the theater I was in. People were cheering, like they were cheering for all the cool action stuff with Shang Chi when he's trying to become like, you know what, I need to help people out, and then he's kicking ass. It's like you can't help but just to cheer and to be excited and to be like, this is dope, this is badass, this is why I'm here to watch an MCU film, especially in the theaters. And I know certain people don't want to watch it because of the current pandemic, but you know, if you're in a place where you feel safe and there's like distancing and all that, I definitely recommend watching it. And the other thing, I do want to talk about like, vaguely about the post credits. There are post credit scenes. They're at the end, and I think they're funny, and they definitely do set up the MCU like something. I don't know what it is, but they're gonna set something up. But it could be like big or huge, or it could be setting up to the next Doctor Strange film. And a part of me was like, what if it's doing this or that? So I had like some theories, and it does also set up things for the sequel to Shang-Chi. And so, Jonathan, you're asking, how is Aquafina? I know that there's like some mixed reaction on Aquafina. Some people were like, oh, she's annoying in this or that. And I think, like, I know I like her in this one. I haven't seen a lot of her work. I've seen her other one where she's visiting her family in, I think in China, and I think I liked her in that one because it's like a serious role for her. So this one, she's able to be serious but also have that comedic relief. And I don't think it's. I think her reactions are valid in this film, like because I'm thinking the same thing too. Where certain things are happening, I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like for example, Shang-Chi's fighting in the bus. It's in the trailer. He's fighting in the bus with Razor Fist, and after the fact, Aquafina's like, "What is going on?" There's a guy with a knife for fist coming, and it's like, ooh, oh man. Let's see here. What do we got? You're also asking, does Shang-Chi have a secret identity like Spider-Man? No, no. Pretty much the only secret identity that he has is him trying to change his name from Shang-Chi to Sean. Sean, the valet. So he did the only identity he's trying to hide away from his father. And as you can tell from the trailers, they're hunting Shang-Chi, especially with the death dealer, and especially that fight. So yeah, it's not like Spider-Man where he's trying to hide his identity from the whole world, because he's actually just moving and just being himself as a fighter. It's kind of like just watching a Jackie Chan film where he's not really having a secret identity. He's just going out there. He's just trying to help out people, and enemies, thugs are along the way to try to stop him, and he has to take them down to, help out, do what he needs to do to become the main character, their protagonist. And I think, so yeah, we've talked about Shang-Chi, we've talked about Aquafina, we talked about Wenwu, we've talked about, we haven't talked much about Michelle Yeoh, so she's in it. And it's like a smaller part, but she's like this protector of this mythical city, and she brings her A game, especially with her martial arts. Because if you bring in Michelle Yeoh and you have actors like Tony, and they've done these wushu style films before, So they know what they're doing with the style and how they move their arms. It's like so fluid. It's a beautiful art form, and you can really appreciate that compared to other Hollywood films that try to emulate that. For example, Mulan, where I was not a fan of Mulan. I hated Mulan just for what they did with the Chinese mythology, and like the filmmakers did not understand that. And with this one, I think they did. Destin did, and then you have Dave Callahan, who wrote this, so he definitely understands this. Especially, he's a fan of martial arts films, and he's the showrunner for Jean Claude Van Johnson, so he's definitely a Jean Claude Van Damme fan. And I was worried because Dave Callahan, his name was attached to the Mortal Kombat reboot film, and I did not like that movie at all. I thought it was terrible, and so I was like, oh, what if this one's bad? But this one, I think, just was great. Like, I loved it. So I'm gonna have to say with the Mortal Kombat, maybe it's the other writer, but this one, I think this is his jam. This is like his type, and I think it all depends on the writer and the director too. Like sometimes the director won't be able to elevate the writing, and with this one, Dustin's able to do that with the performance, because I think the performances are emotional. And Wenwu, I believe, is one of my favorite MCU villains, because my favorite is Thanos, Loki, and Wenwu. And so he's Tony Leung as Wenwu, definitely up there. He's really up there, and I feel like I really feel for him. So yeah, because like like, let's say Black Widow, right? Like you had the stuff with the Red Room, and they didn't really dive deep into that. So when the bad guy's there, he's like, I don't care about this. I don't care about the Red Room. I don't care about Black Widow's history, because they didn't dive deep enough into it for me to care. So when she's trying to do all these things, I'm like, it's just all faceless people for me. But here, they really dive deep into the story, the family story with Shang-Chi and and I was like, wow. I want to see more. I want to see just the story. But it's like one movie, and you have to like really balance things out, especially with Shang-Chi's story, with Wenwu's story, and also with the story with his sister. So she's got a big role in this film too. It's hard for me to pronounce her name. Xiaoling, I think. Yeah, and she's got her great arc too, and I believe it's like they're all compelling characters with their own interesting stories. And let's see here. So let's see. You're asking, Jonathan's asking, how is Shang-Chi's costume? Is it cheesy? Does he build it? You've seen it. You've seen it in the trailers. The red. Hold on. I'll be right back. I'm gonna bring the jacket that I got from the Disney store. I'm back. All right. So yeah, this it's similar. It's similar to this right here. And his outfit is what you see is what you get from the trailer. So if you didn't like it, then you didn't like it. If you like it, then yeah. But I don't think his outfit is like the most important thing for me, because the most important thing for this film is the fight scenes, the action, the story, the characters. So you have all that, you're set. And also, okay, you're asking, where would you rank Shang-Chi power levels with other Avengers? Okay, so what they did with Shang-Chi, I don't think I've read all his stuff, but I do know, like in the comics, he's just known to be really good at martial arts with weapons and all that. And there was a time I think he was able to multiply himself. So in this movie, he's not going to be multiplying or clone himself, but they've teased in the trailers where Shang-Chi was able to use the rings. So right there, and there's a part where he's like doing like a fireball. So it just reminds me of Street Fighter with Ryu and Ken doing their fireball. and those are pretty much like his stuff, his abilities. And there is other stuff that I don't want to mention yet because you got to watch the movie, but he will learn other things. And yeah, I think I'm gonna end this stream here, just because I gotta get to another. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be watching Shang-Chi again. That's how excited I am. Like, they invited me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it again. I'm okay with it because some movies where they invite me to certain things, like, nah, I don't want to watch this again. I'm not gonna do it. But I'll end it soon. But I'm just gonna like leave it up for you guys to see if you have any questions for me, and then after that I'll end the stream. So let's see here. Tony, you're saying I can't wait for this movie, and I think me as an Asian person watching this film, I felt like a sense of just relatability with certain little things that they have included. Other than like there's stuff that will be resonating for all audiences, but with this, like just the lingo, like certain things they say, like Ronnie Cheng's character when he talks and he makes jokes, it's like I get that, and like just certain kids, like when I was a kid, I had the bowl haircut, terrible haircut, terrible hairstyle. So Shang-Chi, when he's a kid, he has that terrible hairstyle too. And I was like, wow, I wonder if this was intentional. Like, what, every like Asian kid, they had that, just the bad haircut. It's like, why is it always happening? And yeah, that's a cool. That's one of the things for the that a lot of, I think, Asians would relate to. And so Moyes is saying, where would you rank this movie among other MCU Marvel films? And I've explained this in the beginning, but I'll explain it again. I rank this. This is probably like my top 5 MCU films. And to give you a taste of what my favorite films are, it's Captain America: Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Endgame, Avengers: Infinity War. So I am definitely putting Shang-Chi up there. Like, the movie gets epic. The movie gets huge. It's like it goes from relatable, grounded, and then the further along you go into the story, it just keeps going higher and higher and higher. And it's a great momentum just to pick up. And then sometimes it can get a little too much. Like, this is a little too big, a little too big. Let's tone things down. But it fits for the story, for what they're trying to tell. And I think if I really wanted things, I wanted more of these down street level characters. But actually, like, a part of me likes the whole larger than life type stuff, because if Shang-Chi is going to be part of the Avengers, he's going to have to show something more than just his martial arts skills. And here I believe that he's going to be just really a pivotal character in the Avengers. And let's see. Ancient One is asking, enjoy yourself once again tonight, my Asian brother. I'm glad that you got to have this experience like I did with Black Panther. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. It's just an awesome experience. And Black Panther, Shang-Chi, just they're all great experiences. But then also just other movies you can be excited about too. Again, like with the Eternals and the third Spider-Man film. So we'll see where that goes. Like with Spider-Man films, I've enjoyed them, but I really liked Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films more because they felt more serious, especially the first one. And it's more of it's toned down, it's more intimate, so that you really get to focus on the character build-up, especially with Spider-Man and Green Goblin, or Spider-Man and Doc Ock, compared to stuff where here in the new films, they're like fighting all over the city, and everyone's like recording things, especially with Spider-Man versus Mysterio, and Mysterio is like recording it and putting it on the big screen. Don't get me wrong, like the Sam Raimi films, they also make Spider-Man larger than life, where people are spreading the news, but it felt like you're part of that journey, because in the films they're showing that the character is talking about Spider-Man. But enough about that. Um, yeah, I think that's all I got to talk about for my reaction to Shang-Chi. And I think it's one of my favorite MCU films ever. Like, it's up there. Like, it's up there with because I love Captain America and like his films, especially Winter Soldier. So I'm still kind of torn on what I want to say, where I want to rank him, but definitely top five. And the just because the action's so great, story's emotional, the family stuff, like Dom from the Fast and the Furious will be so jealous of the touching family story here, because this is family. So oh man, it was emotional, and I cheered throughout. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did when it comes out on September 3rd. And I hope this movie just does really well at the box office, because I absolutely love this film. And yeah, with that, stay tuned. I'll have a review for this once the review embargo lifts, and I'll see you hopefully soon. So I do have this channel here. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell. And oh, okay, we got one more question. Let's see, question: what do you think of anime? I'll answer that. Anime, I like anime. So depends on what anime it is. But my favorite is Cowboy Bebop. I love Trigun, Escaflowne. I love the old school stuff. And so with that, I'll see you guys next time. And another question. I'll answer this one. Did you like what they did with the rings? Yes, I did. I love the ring stuff. It's different from the comic book stuff, but what they did was still awesome. And when you watch it in the movie, you're like, don't mess with Wenwu, aka the Mandarin. Watch out. This guy will mess you up. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Toodles.